And you know what? A nation that forgets its own constitution forgets the limits of its own power. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Hey, thank you for joining me again, much appreciated. Wanted to do a follow-up to a short I did the other day where I mentioned that I think there should be more English MPs in our parliament. I seem to get a few dislikes for some reason. I'm not sure why. But yes, I genuinely believe we need more English MPs in Parliament, and I'm going to explain why. I'm not talking about Brexit, I'm not talking about party politics. I'm talking about the English Constitution and how important it is to our Parliament. What we have to remember is the Americans love to tell us that they have a constitutional republic. Well, we have a constitutional monarchy. But it's amazing how many people don't know that. I don't understand the very fact that we have a constitutional monarchy means we have a constitution, and that includes MPs. There's many an MP has no idea. It's even worse because, frankly, most of the media doesn't, although I suspect some do, but deliberately ignore it. But certainly most of the population has no idea. And if you were to ask them, they draw blank. In fact, many tell me that it's not written down, and yet there's volumes of books because it forms the basis of our entire legal framework. And one or two will tell you it's not codified. Well, it isn't in a single document like the American one is, as an example, but there are very important elements within our Constitution that are codified that give us the rights we have, including the right to representation. Come on to that. Parliament, it's not just Parliament. You see, MPs, the media again, political pundits, influencers, anyone who's got an opinion basically will tell you that Parliament is sovereign. Newsflash, it isn't. Because constitutionally, Parliament's sovereignty flows from the sovereignty of the people. We are sovereign, and we lend that sovereignty to Parliament to act on our behalf. And that's written within the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights? A document that's existed on the statute books since 1688. Wow. So yes, you'll hear MPs talk about EHCR. They may even talk about a Bill of Rights, I think, that the Blair government added to our statute books at some point. But you won't ever hear them talk about the Bill of Rights, 1688. The very document that puts their arses on the seats where they are. The Houses of Parliament. Funny that, isn't it? Staggering, really. You see, that's a codified element. That means it can never be changed. That's what the codified part means. It can never ever be changed. And I'll read the exact phrase, just so you understand how it all fits together. The pretended powers of suspending laws or the execution of laws by regal authority without consent of Parliament is illegal. So the Bill of Rights took the power from the monarch and bestowed it to Parliament. But that settlement placed on Parliament was done on the basis, on the assumption that Parliament has the consent of the people of England. Parliament has the consent of the people of England. And we give that consent at elections when we vote. If nobody voted, consent's withdrawn. You could actually write on the ballot, I do not consent. A wholly different subject for another video. Leave that there for the time being. But you see, MPs forget or ignore or have no idea that bill exists, and it's what got them to where they were. It's even sadder now because, if you think about it, we've got devolved parliaments. And I'm not advocating, as I said, for an English-only parliament. Again, that would be a whole other video. Personally, I've not given it a great deal of thought. I'm just vexed that we are largely ignored here in England. But the devolved parliaments have brought their own. It's called the West Lothian question, and the fact that MPs from the four nations can vote in Westminster on policies that only ever affect England, but the 533 MPs from England never get a chance to vote on the acts within the devolved assemblies that only apply to the devolved nations. Possibly is unfair. That's not what I'm talking about here today. But I did make a point there that there's 533 MPs from the English constituencies. Of those 533 MPs, if you were to talk to most of them, if not, to be honest with you, all of them, and started talking about England, they'd probably turn their nose up. In fact, I know for a fact a lot of them would. They're not interested. They almost feel dirty and seedy for mentioning it. Quite sad, really. Racist, almost. Racist. How do we get there? Well, it is deliberate, to be perfectly honest. It's been by design for some time, and the media's in on it. A lot of the blobs in on it. But anything they can do to erode England because of the Constitution is what they're trying to do. Because if they can remove the Constitution, they can remove our rights. There's a lot more to the Constitution I can come on to, but these are the important bits for today in terms of England's representation. We have, in effect now, an institutionalised constitutional neglect. A deliberate attempt to diminish the role of our Constitution in governing us across the land. They'll talk about Parliament sovereignty all day long, but they won't talk about the English sovereignty or the English Constitution that gives it to them. What's really sad is, internationally, England wrote the Rulebook on liberty, but Parliament has intentionally lost or destroyed all the pages of that book. I'll repeat that. England wrote the Rulebook on liberty globally, and Parliament has deliberately lost or destroyed all the pages. And it's quite funny because they bang on about the European Human Rights Act, 1950s, and yet the Bill of Rights 1688. Terrible. Even the American Constitution, long after ours. In fact, it's based on our Bill of Rights. I think it holds something like 12 of the 16 articles in the American Bill of Rights that can trace their origins back to our own Bill of Rights. And MPs aren't just forgetting this, they're just willfully ignorant of it. And that's what's sad. And it's this almost inherent hatred for England that's causing the upset. There's no reason for it. Absolutely no reason. But we need to get some English representation just to balance things out. Because everything is about the British. They'll even say British Constitution or UK Constitution. There is no British or UK Constitution. It doesn't exist. It is the English Constitution that's been adopted by the political union that is Britain. Yeah, Great Britain is a political union created 1707 by the Act of Settlement. Again, part of our Constitution. The Commonwealth nations, when they came over here, the Windrush people, they came here because they were British by an Act of Parliament. A statute on the books. A political fiction. That's all it is. A political fiction. It's not a nation. It's a political fiction. England is a nation. Scotland is a nation. Wales is a nation. Northern Ireland is a nation within Ireland. British is nothing. Doesn't exist other than the statute books. Simple as that. So why are they happy to bang on about British, Britain, UK, but not talk about England, the nation where they actually sit, where they reside? It's very sad. We're basically now in a constitutional void so deep that England has no voice within its own union. And you know what? A nation that forgets its own constitution forgets the limits of its own power. MPs need to remember that. And this is why I am advocating for more English MPs. MPs that believe in and want to stand up for England. You know, every empire fails when its rulers forget the very laws that built it up. And I'm not saying we now still have the English Empire, the British Empire. That's not what I'm saying. I'm calling Westminster an empire in itself. And we, as an electorate, are being ignored, willfully ignored at this moment. And it needs to change. Anyway, that was my thought on why we needed English representation within Parliament and why I did the short that I did in the week. I hope it's made you think, at least, if nothing else. And if you've got this far, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I feel like I've gone all serious now. I shall end it and leave it there. I do thank you for watching. I hope I've not bored the pants off you. If you want to know more about the Constitution, leave a comment below. I'll certainly do more videos along these lines because it's fascinating and we do need to make more people aware of it. But thank you for watching. You take care.